So it's houseplant unboxing time. Now I think you might be a little surprised at the plants that I'm going to show you, and there's a little clue as to where they're from. I think you might be surprised at how big they are, and it's about a week since they came out of this little tiny box. So we're going to have a little look today, and as you can see, I've already unboxed them. That's the bit that I don't like, that's the boring bit. We're not going to bother with that, we'll dispense with that entirely, and we're going to get straight to the plants. Let's get cracking. And we are in. Okay, so what I'm going to do here, I've got 13 plants to show you, 4 genera, I think. So what I will do, I'll show you them one at a time, and I'm going to, first of all, just tell you that when we think of houseplants, we normally think of the big strappy-leaved, variegated-leaved, large-leaved kind of plants, the really lush kind of plants. And I want you to think of something much, much smaller, bearing in mind that we've got a tiny little box that they all came in. But, you know, think slightly differently. They're not all like that. I love that kind of thing, and I'm just actually getting into those kind of things, like the aroids and so on. But these are really the kind of plants that you tend not to think of as houseplants. Now, a couple of them you would. A couple of them have been growing for a few hundred years, really, in the UK as houseplants. But the rest of them are maybe even something that you might think of as weeds. So we'll get right into it, and I'll show you what I mean. So the first one I'm going to show you is actually an Impatiens or an Impatiens. Okay, now, it doesn't look particularly spectacular at the moment. So let me just tell you what this is. Now, all these have not only been unboxed, as you can see, they've actually been potted up. So this is an Impatiens auricoma crossed with bicordata. Now, I've looked at Impatiens before as a plant that you could actually grow in the house. And Dibley's, where I got all these plants from, do actually suggest that it can grow either as a bedding plant, in inverted commas, or during the summer, or as a house plant. So, first of all, if you live in the UK, there is a particularly pernicious weed known as the Himalayan balsam. It's everywhere, and I think it's only been around here for 100 years or so. Obviously, it comes from the Himalayas. It's been imported, not, I don't think, as a garden plant. I think just mainly as a passenger on something or other. And it's spread throughout the countryside, and it's really difficult to get rid of, mainly down to the way that it spreads its seeds. And if you look at the leaves of this particular Impatiens, it is very, very similar to a Himalayan balsam. So you would think that maybe I'm growing a weed here in the greenhouse, but no, Impatiens are busy lizzies. So if you're used to growing busy lizzies throughout the summer, then that's the same family. Much the same as begonias. You know, people tend to, certainly in the UK, only think of 2 types of begonia, like the hanging basket begonia or the bedding plant begonia, like the tuberous style begonia. But as we know, as we've been through many times on this channel, there are lots and lots of begonias. It's a huge family. Same is true with Impatiens. So I'm going to grow this as a house plant, or I think I'll probably grow it in the cooler greenhouse at 12 degrees through the winter, but even though it can go down to about 10, it does prefer to be over 15 degrees Celsius. So this is an exotic Madagascan hybrid, and it possesses masses of orange blooms, which I'm going to put up on the screen for you, so maybe you can see why I'm so interested in growing this. This is the kind of thing that you will see if you go to places like Tatton Park in the UK, in Cheshire. So they have this huge greenhouse, and it is a cooler greenhouse. I don't think it's heated, if I recall, but it's warmer than the outside, obviously, and they grow large plants like this. So I might keep it in here in the cooler greenhouse, just really because it's going to get fairly large. And it's my first kind of foray into Impatiens, so I'm really keen to see how this does. So we're moving on to the second plant. So this is also an Impatiens. Again, not much to look at, but I will put loads of images up so you can see what this one looks like. This one is Impatiens nyamensis, and I really, really like the blooms on this one. It's a lovely, unusual plant. Again, not the kind of plant that people think of as house plants, but there is absolutely no reason why you shouldn't grow it in your house. You know, think a little bit differently. At the moment, doesn't look that great, but boy, when those blooms come, and those blooms will last for many, many months. One little word of warning, if you are familiar with Himalayan balsam, then you might know, as lots of children know, certainly children that I taught years ago, that if you touch one of the seed heads, one of the swollen seed heads on a lot of Impatiens, probably all of them, I don't know for sure, but certainly on a lot of them, and certainly on the weed that grows outside in the UK, then you will see it absolutely explode all over the place. So one word of warning is, do not let this run to seed. As soon as you see those seeds, snip them off, otherwise you'll have these things. Even if they don't germinate, they'll certainly be scattered, you know, hither and thither all over your house. So I might grow this in the greenhouse just for space really, because I've got more space in here at the moment. So that's the second one. They're the only two Impatiens that I've got. We're going to look at the first of the Begonias now. So my first Begonia to show you is this little beauty. So this one is Begonia Candy Queen. I mean, it had to be called Candy, didn't it, with that colour. Now, again, look at it already. It's a week and already it's grown quite significantly in a week. Again, I've got my temperatures down at 12 degrees in here. This kind of thing, this is from the Rex group, by the way, it does really prefer over 16 degrees Celsius. But as I've proven again several times over the past few years, that these begonias will go down to 12 degrees. A lot of them, in fact, nearly all of them will go down to 12 degrees, but not all of them necessarily for a length, like more than a month, say, for example. You know, I've had Begonia luxurians down to 12 degrees, but after a month or 6 weeks, it starts to lose its leaves. Same with the Griffon. I've got another Begonia over here, which I'll just show you. So this one over here, this one is, I always forget, sea urchin, and it really doesn't like to be at these temperatures. I brought it over here because I think I'm going to move it over into the hothouse. It's going to bloom, but I think that's probably due to duress more than anything. It's okay at 12 degrees, but it's lost all the leaves on this side and it's just not looking that happy. So I'm going to move that over. So this is what I'm doing at the moment with these begonias. So this is Candy Queen, and yeah, will be okay down to 12, but prefers to be, as with all Rex type begonias, over 16 degrees Celsius. And this one, unusually for begonias, prefers a brighter position, not direct sun, but a brighter position. And it's a brand new hybrid for 2022, so there aren't many pictures of it. So you'll just have to make do with the real thing there. Okay, my next two plants are not a great deal to show you here. I will show you the pictures, of course, so you'll be able to see what it's going to look like. So this is Kohleria, and I don't know how on earth you pronounce YF together. If, or is it YFs? Perhaps that's how they want it to be pronounced. I'll call it Kohleria Ifs Ellin, Ifs Ellin. I've no idea how you pronounce that. But Kohleria, if you've never seen them before, and again, I'll show you pictures and you should be able to see what it looks like, because it really does look spectacular when it comes out. So these are plants that arrive as little rhizomatous caterpillars, in inverted commas. They're tiny little rhizomes, and you wouldn't think anything would come of them. I'm going to move this over to the hothouse simply because I've experienced what happens. They're perfectly fine at these temperatures. However, they do prefer and do grow quickly when they're given a little bit more heat. So I'm going to move them over there and try and kick them off pretty early. Now, again, I've talked about this before. I prefer to try and keep mine going as long as possible. There are various species that grow all year round, but there are some that do have like a dormancy period, and you can play around a little bit with that. Some of them I've kept going for a few years on the trot, and then I've given them a dormancy period. They do tend to need a prune down anyway at the end of the year, because they can get a little bit leggy, but they do always come back. They might just go down to a few leaves and then have a little rest there, a little break, and then come back strongly again. So I'm going to kick those off over in the warmer hothouse and see what they look like. So that is Kohleria Ifs Ellin. Not doing very well with that pronunciation. And I won't spend too long on this one, because this is another one that's just a pot. So this one is Kohleria Sybil, I guess that one is. So I love my Kohleria, and I say this every single time. I don't know why more people don't grow them, because they really are beautiful little plants. They're very small, they're easy to prune. They have glorious flowers, and when they do flower they are covered in flowers. Gorgeous thing. And of course the gesneriads, so they go along really well with all my other gesneriads like my Escananthus and my Streptocarpus. And the Kohleria Sibyl, by the way, is a more orangey bloom, which you might have already seen. So our first Streptocarpus. So I'm going to talk about a few streps that I've got. I did say I wasn't going to get any more streps, but oh gosh, I couldn't resist these. I don't have any red. So this one is Texas Hot Chili, and as you can imagine, and as no doubt I'll be showing you at this point with some images, this really is a really gorgeous red, a very deep red with a yellow throat. It should be absolutely gorgeous when it comes. It's been around since 2004. It's won loads of awards, and as usual with streps, it's very easy to propagate, which I have videos on if you care to look. So you might notice that I've actually put them straight into 12.5 centimetre pots this time. Traditionally, I've always put them in small, like 8 to 10 centimetre pots, and I've found that they can take like over a year before they really start to grow strongly. So what I've done this time, I have snipped the little peat pot that they come in to try and encourage them to come out of that, and I've put them in a larger pot. I don't expect that I'm going to have too much trouble. In actual fact, I was looking up the other day, founder of Dibley's, Rex Dibley, his name was, Rex Dibley. So he actually suggested putting them in 10 centimetre pots anyway. So I thought I'll try and cut out the middleman and go straight for the larger pots and see what happens. So that's Texas Hot Chili. Next up is another Streptocarpus, Streptocarpus Leah. Again, we're still going for shades of red. So this one is apparently velvety plum red flowers with a beguiling white edge. So you might be able to see from the label there, and I'll certainly put some photos up. So I'm hoping, again, nice big pot, I'm hoping this really gets going quickly. These, of course, are going to be kept in the cooler greenhouse. They will do perfectly well in a house. Don't forget, Streptocarpus were grown in Victorian times as houseplants, so they will be perfectly happy, and if you want to give them a go, I strongly recommend it. So this is my first DS variety, Dimetris variety. So these, I think they're from Russia, dare I say it, or Ukraine, or somewhere over in that kind of general direction. I might be wrong, someone can perhaps correct me on that. But this is Streptocarpus DS Horus. So you always know that it's a Dimetris variety because it usually says DS before it. And these are like a new breed. They're very big leafed, they're very robust plants, and they have huge blooms. Think of DS Kalahari. That's one of everybody's favourites. So I had to go for this one again. It's another one that I really fancied, and I just couldn't resist it. So this one is a bit of a colour changer. So the blooms begin as deep yellow and then fade to soft pink. I can't wait to see this one in full flow. So last of the Streptocarpus, this one is, I think I'm pronouncing this correctly, Cariad or Cariad. This is one that has 10 flowers per inflorescence, and apparently the leaves and the stems are strong enough to support that, so I can't wait to see that one. So we'll move on to the final genera. So this one is actually a species Begonia, believe it or not, and this one is going to be a real star. I'm absolutely certain of it. So this is Begonia ceratipitella. I don't know if that's the correct pronunciation. It's from Malaysia. It's actually native to New Guinea, and it has this kind of bronze green serrated leaves with these glorious pink spots on them. I've seen some absolutely gorgeous photos and images of this plant, and I can't wait to see this go. This was completely flopped when it arrived, and it's grown already. Like I say, it's only been a week, which, you know, just shows the resilience of begonias. Bear in mind, it's not that warm outside. You know, it didn't come with a heat pack, but it survived the journey, and it's looking absolutely fantastic already. So this is a cane type begonia. So I've got a couple of cane types. Think Begonia luxurians or the Fuchsioides, but it does have like a bushier stem, and it only goes to about 35 centimetres high. So this one does have an award of garden merit from the RHS. I can't wait to see this one in full flow. Next up is Begonia Green Gold. Now, are you already thinking, how have they fit all these in that tiny little box? Well, as I say, these leaves were not like this when they first arrived. They were looking rather worse for wear, but they really did perk up very quickly. I think Dibblies do tend to send theirs rather on the dry side, which you might think is not a good idea, but it actually is, because the weight isn't as much, and when they come, they're not as much at risk of rotting in the cooler weather. So all you've got to do as soon as you get them home is unbox them and give them a good soak for half an hour, and that's enough to perk them back up. So yeah, this is Begonia Green Gold. Gorgeous thing. Another Rex variety, so this is another one that really should go over into the hothouse. Nearly there now. So this is another Rex variety. So this is Begonia Fireworks. It's another one with an award of garden merit. And it's just so difficult to resist these kind of plants. It's a little bit like curly fire flush, and it's got these kind of red hairy stems and younger leaves, but just look at those leaves, just look at the colours. Absolutely gorgeous thing. These purple silver leaves and a little bit of green and white splashed amongst them. So I can't wait for that to get going too. So it's another one for the hothouse, and the last one to show you today. So this one is Begonia Black Fang. So this is a small rhizomatous one, a little bit like the one I was showing you earlier, that supposedly doesn't mind the lower temperatures. And again, this is the same in that it prefers to be a little bit warmer, even though they say it will go down to 10 degrees. So I'm not sure. Again, I might keep it here, I might take it over to the hothouse, I don't really know. It's a small rhizomatous one, and if you've seen the images of it, or no doubt I'll be showing you some images of it, you'll see what a stunner it really turns out to be. And Black Fang is absolutely perfect as a name for it, really describes what it looks like. And of course the blooms, as always with begonias, are a really welcome bonus and quite a surprise when you see how nice they are in relation to those leaves. I'm definitely getting to the point now where, although I love orchids and I love things like dendrobiums, they give you such a spectacular display, but for a lot of the year all you're looking at is sticks. And the thing with begonias is that you get something all year round, which I really enjoy. I'll still grow the orchids, but gosh, I find it very hard to resist these kinds of plants. So I hope you enjoyed that unboxing without the unboxing. And we've still got lots and lots of blooms going on over here at this time of year, lots more to come. And if you enjoyed it, please give me a thumbs up, and also please tell me in the comments what you'd like to see in future, what you'd like to see more of. If there's any burning question, or if there's anything you'd like me to cover. Of course, I don't have all the answers, as you well know, but I certainly do my best to try and come up with something or test something out. So that's it for now. I'll see you on the next one. Bye.